Oh, you can watch the show on YouTube. Search Out of Bounds Sports. Don't forget that the Subway at Grants Ferry can cater your next birthday party or junior high school event. The Subway Grants Ferry can cater for you, right? Jackson Meadows was talking about the sandwiches that he loves at Subway. Subway at Grants Ferry. Also, the show is brought to you by Sound and Communications, and they did all the sound and TVs at Martin's in Livingston. Sound and Communications. We're ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Houdat is on a roll. They're partying in NOLA, baby. And when that town gets rolling, there is nothing better. We welcome in our friend Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. Oh, real quick, I got to say hey to a listener. Hold on. Ayla text us. She is a middle school student, and she said, hotty toddy. She said she loves the show, and she said that she's our youngest listener, and she said y'all are the best. Ayla, thank you so much for listening to the show. Jackson and I greatly, greatly appreciate it, like we appreciate every listener. All right, we welcome in Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Mike D, the Saints are 2-0. They just blew out the Cowboys. What has the city been like since Sunday?
Man, they still riding the magic carpet ride.
Love it.
With you, man, we had the show last night in Mississippi at the Silver Slipper, and man, they were still all cranked up, and so was my co-host. So it was a good time. It really was, and you can see the excitement for this team that I haven't seen in a number of years. Because one, it was unexpected. I don't think anyone could have predicted anything close to this, the way they played offensively. I think you knew that they were going to have a really good defense. Their special teams has always been pretty good to very good, and that has happened. But offensively, how all this has clicked has been remarkable. And the play of the offensive line, I think that to me is the biggest shocker. You could have never guessed that coming into this season. That kind of a lot of hodgepodge going on there, moving Trevor Penning, who you didn't know anything about, from the left side to the right. You bring in sort of a journeyman player in Lucas Patrick to be your left guard. He wasn't going to be the guy anyway. It was supposed to be Saldiveri. He gets hurt in training camp. And then you spend a first-round pick on Taliase Fuaga. He had never played on the left side, and they moved him from right to left. And how it's all worked out. And, boy, they got something there, Bo, and Taliase Fuaga. And he's still going to make some mistakes, but my goodness, you are watching a young stud offensive left tackle for the Saints, and you can see it quickly. His attention to detail, his techniques, his ability to finish off a block. And, man, football means a lot to him, and he knows how to play it at the highest level. So you got something there at the left tackle position. Teron Armstead was a tremendous football player, great athlete. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I'll see another athlete play that left tackle position like Teron. Now, he had trouble staying healthy and still has trouble staying healthy in Miami. But Fuaga, he's the real McCoy.
All right. Say the guy's name again, the left tackle, Mike D.
Yeah, Taliase Fuaga.
I love that. He is a man. All right, where's he from, Mike D?
He was first-round pick from Oregon State.
That's right. Okay. Unbelievable. Okay, first of all, what a draft pick, right, Mike D? I mean, the front office did their homework.
They hit on first-round pick one because they've had some whiffs across the board in early round picks, and Penning, you didn't know anything about, and he has played solid. He's played pretty well at that right tackle position. The unsung heroes here are John Benton and Rick Dennison. John Benton's their new offensive line coach. Doug Marrone, the last couple of years, he had not developed any offensive line or linemen. And they bring in John Benton. He's done this a long time. And so has Rick Dennison. Rick's basically come in as sort of the run game coordinator, I guess the best term. And that system they put in, and I had Mark Schlerf on. We'll have him on weekly. In fact, he's on today, every Tuesday. And Mark brought up the fact that that Dennison coached him in Denver.
Wow.
And he said, man, he is a tremendous coach. And he said in that system, in that Kubiak-Shanahan system, it's lineman friendly. And he said, if you maybe have a little flaw here or there, he can work around that. But he puts you in the right position to make a play. And, Bo, I couldn't do a show without having at least 5 to 6 people text about Derek Carr. He can't play in this league. They got to get a new quarterback. You got to play Spencer Rattler or whatever. Put it to you this way, the last 2 weeks, I ain't got a one text like that.
No, you haven't.
Call. And, and you see, Derek behind some protection and behind a scheme with a lot of eye candy movement. And it's sort of similar. If you watch the Rams give you a lot of that with McVay. In essence, they're putting people in motion, sort of moving people around. They want the defense to make a mistake by you moving because somebody moved on offense, and then they take advantage of it. And that's what we've seen the first 2 weeks of the season. And Clint Kubiak's done a great job of play calling, but it's just the scheme of everything. And look at the touchdowns. Both, every one of them, they standing up. Ain't no tackling. They standing up, running into the end zone. It's amazing. To say I'm surprised would be an understatement. It's more like shocked that they have been that good on offense. I'll be honest.
Oh, Mike D on the Out of Bounds Show. Mike Detillier, Saints Insider, WWL Radio, TV, New Orleans. The Saints are 2-0, and they put an exclamation point on the game on Sunday as they embarrassed the Dallas defense. At all 3 levels. And Mike knows this because he's been covering the NFL since the 80s. It's not like Zimmer can't coach defense and doesn't know what he's doing. And yet there was absolutely nothing that Dallas could do at any of the 3 levels to the Saints. So you mentioned
they played bully ball.
They did.
And we had heard it from a number of people with the Saints that we are not, we're not going to throw the ball all over the field. We are going to line up and punch them in the mouth because we don't think they're going to be able to take the punch. Bo, look at what they scored. They only threw the ball 16 times.
I saw that.
16. Okay, this is modern-day NFL football. But they ran the football almost 40 times. And the big key here is, I think in as much as we talk about the pitch and catch part of the game, hasn't every system that's been put in the NFL kind of been conquered a little bit by the defense? And whatever you want to do now, the great quarterbacks make any system look good. But the one kind of offensive scheme NFL defense has not been able to conquer has been that Shanahan-Kubiak system offensively. And it is sort of thrown even a guy like, Mike Zimmer. And I remember when the Saints were playing the Vikings, and they would play them almost every year. And Sean was adamant that he felt Mike Zimmer was one of the great defensive minds in the NFL, because when he was coaching for Parcells in Dallas, he was the offensive coordinator. The defensive coordinator was Mike Zimmer. And he said, man, just getting out of practice was difficult. And yet you saw them kind of demolish the Cowboys. And it went from, the Panthers ain't much. Wait till they play the Cowboys. Now the rhetoric has been, are the Cowboys overrated? So they've changed it all within a week. You know, you get on these national shows, or you do the national shows. All last week it was, man, the Saints are in for a tough game. Okay, I get that. The Cowboys are a different team than the Panthers, and I understand that. And then the rhetoric since the game has been, the Cowboys are overrated. They're not that good. Somewhere along the line, you got to say the Saints are much better than what you thought.
No question.
Okay, but a lot of people don't like to admit that they're wrong. Listen, I admit that. I never thought I would see this out of this offense. Never thought it. I was dead wrong about that.
So we've got this, for our listeners, Clint Kubiak is your OC. Y'all know his dad, Gary Kubiak. Mike's referencing Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan, and just and then he tied in Dennison, who was under Mike Shanahan with the Broncos, because he has Slayer on every week. This is unbelievable. We already know what little Shanahan has done at the 49ers and all the different things that they do in the run game. So now you've dropped this in New Orleans, and Mike mentioned there's some McVay stuff in there too, but it's almost like the league that figures everybody out hasn't figured out.
No, they haven't.
This deal
that's
yet.
That's the one system, Bo, and you go back and, and I've seen all of them being thrown out there. But it really has been the one that has given more defensive coordinators and defensive coaches fits. And it's funny, I first heard that at the Louisiana line camp this summer. Pete Jenkins, all of 83 years old, has it. And we got about a dozen NFL defensive coaches that show up for that. And it was brought up in a conversation. That's the one system I dislike to play. We haven't had a good feel on how to stop it. And a lot of it has to do with the physicality part of the game. That's really difficult. Because they sort of wear you out running the football. A lot of it is old-fashioned football. There really is a lot of that involved with it. And defenses have had a really kind of jump-the-ditch moment trying to stop that because you have lined up the last few years, and what's coming out of college has been a lot of edge, undersized defensive people that can rush the quarterback. How stout are they against the run? So I beat you up a little bit. I play a little bully ball with you. And then I said, okay, once you start to cheat up with a safety, I hit you over the top. And the Saints did that early last week with Rashid Shaheed. And not only did he beat man coverage, they actually had a guy over the top. He ran past him too. So, man, Rashid Shaheed, I've seen a lot of fast players with the Saints. And sometimes guys can run fast without a helmet and pads on. Man, Rashid Shaheed, he's up at the upper level. It's from a Saints standpoint that I've seen that can run with a helmet and the pads on. And could he run? And he ran right past two Dallas defenders. And, Derek Carr put it, spot on. That's the one thing Derek can do very, very well is throw the deep ball. And he did it off of play action, a little waggle. And that's the other thing in this system. Schlereth was the first one to tell me because I saw it in practice. So I asked him, do they move the quarterback around in the pocket? And he was like, oh, yeah, Mike. He said, that's part of it. And sure enough, watch Derek Carr today. He's not just in the pocket. he's moving a little left, a little right. So a little bit of waggle movement and getting him to throw, and sometimes it's cutting off an entire part of the field, but he's getting the ball to the receiver. So it's a new wrinkle in what the Saints have done in the past under, say, a Sean Payton, Pete Carmichael. This is much more of the Shanahan-Kubiak system where you roll out a quarterback and he's throwing either to the right or to the left.
Mike Detillier, Saints insider on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Saints are 2-0. They catch the Eagles on a short week. Now, this next 4-game stretch, as Mike D knows, is serious. And now, but they're playing with some house money, after doing what they've done. So I can't wait to see how this looks. Right now, it's almost like Clint Kubiak is the hire of the offseason, Mike D. Or one of them, one of the top hires in the offseason in the NFL, right?
Yeah, he'd be the Saints MVP right now.
He would be.
Wouldn't be a player. It'd be him because, I live next door, so to speak, to an NFL coach, Joe Clark. Joe coached 55 years, either major college football or in the NFL. He even coached in NFL Europe for a while. And he would always tell me this because, he's coaching in his 70s and early 80s in the NFL. And he passed away, almost 2 years ago. And he would make the comment to me about, he said the worst thing in life as you get old like me is to watch people my age not change with the times. And he says, I'm telling you, football is a lot the same as it was when I first started coaching in the late 50s. But he said it's the ability to relate to a player, to convince him that what you're doing puts him in the best place for him to succeed. And you got to do it differently. You can't scream and holler. And he said, okay, that's old school stuff. You got to be able to relate that those young men are different from the ones that I grew up coaching in the 50s and 60s with, and the relationships you have with them, convincing them that what you're teaching them gives them the best opportunity to win. And he said they play harder for you. And it sort of sat in my ear because I heard it so many times. That's what Clint Kubiak has done here. He has convinced these guys that what I'm teaching you and what we're drawing up gives you the best chance to win. And they believe in it. And I'm always a big believer in if you think something's right, you're going to bust your ass to make sure it's right. You're going to work harder at it. It is human nature. If you think that it's not going to work, you're not going to work as hard. You can say, well, I work hard all the time. That's a difference between you believing in something and not. You work harder if you believe in something or somebody believes in you.
Right.
Kubiak has done that with this football team. He has done that with this offense, that they believe what he is coaching is giving them the best chance to win. And it reminds me so much of what Coach Clark had told me for so many years. What he didn't have nothing in common. Okay, he's 70 or 81 years old. What does he have in common with a 25 or 28-year-old NFL player? Virtually nothing. But he would always go out of his way to try to get to know them and figure out what's best for them. And I think that is a winning formula in this league. The coaches that win, I think, have good relationship with players. They know which buttons to press, and it works. Andy Reid, what does Andy, at his age, have in common with a 25 or a 28 or a 30-year-old player? Great, not a lot, but he knows the right buttons to push.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big part of it. Even Coach Saban, with all the success he had at Alabama, what did he have? Okay, you can have guys with talent, but you got to understand how to get the most out of that. And he was able to do that. Andy Reid's been able to do that in the NFL. That's why they've had success.
We'll leave it there. The Saints are 2-0. They're going to catch the Eagles on a short week.
And no A.J. Brown.
And no A.J. Brown.
Because he told the crew last night it looked as though he would miss a couple of weeks with the hamstring injury. Ooh. And so you playing the Eagles, because, man, at the end of that game, which they screwed up awful. But, I mean, A.J. Brown would have been the guy they threw it to instead of Saquon. And I'm a big Saquon Barkley fan, but one thing for sure, I have noticed over the last 3 years, you throw him a pass, it ain't no better than 50-50 catch it.
Right. Yeah.
He's like Roberto Duran. He got hands of stone.
I remember him as a boxer. That was great. All right, Mike D. Well, I've only got about a minute. We'll talk more LSU next week. They were fortunate to get out of Columbia, with the dub, but I've only got a couple of minutes here. So
yeah, you're absolutely right. They were very fortunate, and it's a football team still trying to find some identity on offense. Mm-hmm. They haven't been able to run the football well, but I think they maybe found the right back in Caden Durham from Texas. He's one of the fastest players in the SEC right now, but he made it work. And Garrett Nussmeier, he's carrying the same 2 buckets of full water that Jaden Daniels did. It just looks different, but he's having to cart it in their defense. Huge chunk plays they're giving up on defense. It's better than it was a year ago, but could it be any worse? Last year was so bad. So LSU might be in a lot of trouble if they don't get this fixed real quick. Because when they're going to play the Ole Misses and Alabamas of the world, you can't spot a team 17 points.
No, you can't. Thank goodness you have UCLA this week, and they're awful. Thanks, Mike D.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. He joined us on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. That was brought to you by Subway at Grants Ferry. They will cater your next party. You need to get your team some good food. Subway at Grants Ferry. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Out of Bounds, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. For your next sound system, it'll be powered by Sound and Communications. Who did all the sound and TVs, which are really, really cool at Martin's and Livingston? SoundComAV.com, Sound and Communications. Good morning. Welcome in. Hour number 3 coming up. Steve Robertson at 9:30.